We know that Europe, the EU, is also on the side of Ukraine. Africa so far has done quite a good job in maintaining a fine balance, largely, even if you look at our votes at the United Nations. And perhaps it is time to position ourselves as peacemakers to go in and bring the warring factions together. Because clearly there's a stalemate, and it's become a proxy war.
I'm just somebody watching us.
It's become a proxy war.
Somebody watching us will say, Samipa. you are here. ECOWAS.
Yeah.
Burkina out.
Yes.
Niger.
Yeah.
Mali.
Yeah.
You have not been able to get them into your small 15-member ECOWAS.
I'm a global citizen.
You want to go and solve Ukrainian problems.
I'm a global citizen. It is not beyond us. It's not beyond us. I mean,
remember. I was going to say something in Ghana early morning.
No, Doc. No, Doc. I can understand you, but remember that as a country, we are founders of the non-aligned movement.
True.
You know, we have always been a force for peace. You know, since the likes of Osagyefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, we're one of the first countries to deploy peacekeeping operations. 1960 to the Congo. You know, and at the United Nations, our record is sterling, you know, apart from the fact that we produced the first president of the General Assembly. We have really, in various theaters of conflict, we have been the country that steps in and ensure that peace prevails. You remember our work in Rwanda. The Rwandans up to now, tankers, our generals have received the highest national awards, you know, the Battle of Quito Carnival, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and all of that. So I don't want us to shrink our role, our image. You know, when you go out there, the kind of image we have as a country because of this history. You know, so I know that, yes, we have a lot of local challenges.
That's Africa. When
we have a lot of local, yes.
You are not able to protect your water bodies and forest cover.
Yeah, and even solve the Boku crisis.
And you want to go to this thing, Ukraine to go and do what?
I'm saying that we can position ourselves as
you move away
we can.
From that one.
We can. No. I wouldn't move away. It's something I believe.
No,
in
we
strongly.
can do the advocacy.
I believe.
We can continue the advocacy.
I believe in this passionately. Yeah. I
beyond
move
beyond
away.
the grammar, I'm sure people will laugh at
Look,
us.
Look
at these people.
Yeah. No,
even water to drink.
No, I agree with you.
Protect
I agree with you. I mean, it's a failure of leadership.
Yeah,
but that should
stop
tell
people
you
from finishing off their forest cover.
Yeah. No, it tells you the decline. I mean, this was a country that towered above many others. People looked up to us, you know, for global peace. Founders of the non-aligned movement during the Cold War era, when big powers were engaged in all kinds of nuclear armament and nuclear, if you like, accumulation. We were able to offer the solution to global peace. But now we've retrogressed in all departments. And I think that occasionally it's important to remind ourselves of the history, where we have come from, how we are perceived. And perhaps if we remember that and reflect on that, you know, the way we are failing locally on basic things, minor issues that should not become, you know, major, should not become a challenge. It will spare us to a new kind of leadership, a new, you know, status, a new mindset, which will drive us forward. And that's why I make these points.
Help me something, educate me on this, and then I will bring Nana in. Nana will also help us with his experience as well. So after a trip like this, would you submit an official report to Parliament? Would you make an official statement on the floor? Or it's just that you visited, you've interacted, end of the story?
No. The Speaker always demands a report. So there's always a clerk of the committee who accompanies members of Parliament. Nana Akomia will confirm that. And so our clerk was with us, and I've already seen the draft report, which will be presented to the main clerk, to the Speaker. And then there are follow-up actions. Sometimes a statement on the floor. Sometimes there could even be a resolution that will be proposed. And in this instance, where they have formed the Ukraine-Ghana Parliamentary Friendship Association, the principle of reciprocity. So we will be recommending in our report that the Ghana side will also have to do that. But I mean, we are always cautious. The Foreign Affairs Committee, we always, because of our non-aligned movement, because of being friends to all sides, and the fact that we have cordial diplomatic relations with all sides, we are going to position ourselves in a way that no one side feels that we are taking sides or, unnecessarily want to, if you like, undermine the relations, the cordial relations that we have. So we are guided by that principle, and the kind of reports and the kind of statements that will be made on the floor.
The issue about the Ghanaians who sent a video, a distress video, that they had been lured into Ukraine. Yeah. They went through Russia, and that they now find themselves fighting the war, and some of them had passed on. First of all, I don't know if this video came to your attention as a parliamentary group, and whether it came up during your visit.
Yeah, it came up just when we were on our way out. We were transiting at the time when we all saw the video. Really, really heart-wrenching. And they are mentioning some travel agent. They say 1 month supporter who lured them. And interestingly, it had come up in our deliberations when we met the National Security Council of Ukraine. They told us, they presented some report, of course, because they said it was classified. I can't give details, but it emerged that there were a number of fighters from various African countries. They even have some,
so there's an active recruitment process.
Estimates, an active recruitment process. Okay. Yes, yeah. And they say
for which one, the Russians or
both sides.
They were accusing the Russians of doing active recruitment. I'm sure that when you meet the Russians, they will also complain about the role of other countries. So it's largely both sides. And you see, at least let the people know that this is what you want to recruit them for. But if you watch the video carefully, they were told that, look, there are jobs available, and they were not told that they are going to fight. And you see, this is war.
That is if they are being truthful.
Yes, that is if their account is accurate. And this is war. I mean, if you haven't been trained, you are not. Even for soldiers who have been trained for many years, it's not easy for them. So we have formally submitted a video to both sides, and we are asking for their assistance. Certainly, we've also engaged our foreign ministry here to do some work on that. They say that they are in Odessa. That's one of the very tricky areas, and it's going to be quite difficult to parachute them out of that place. We just have to pray for them. That at some point, even what was agreed on the in terms of aid corridor and then the wheat corridor, the Black Sea Agreement, all of those have been jeopardized, and
they keep breaching them.
They keep breaching it every now and then. So it's not going to be an easy task, but it calls for major public education. And you see, our immigration officials, there's too many of these reports. We are still having cases of people being lured by all kinds of agencies to the Gulf states, for example, that you're going to do a decent job either on the farm or a factory, and they end up as house helps to all kinds of unscrupulous people who just violate their rights. So we need to tighten security at our borders when it comes to these travels, and then more fundamentally create good economic conditions here, because at the end of the day, it's really this search for greener pastures. I mean, the mirage will continue if we do not create better conditions here for our young people. If unemployment continues to be spiraling out of control beyond 14.7%, and you have factories collapsing, in my place alone, Avema rice factory has collapsed, Japan textiles has collapsed, and there are a lot of these reports all over the place. Of collapsing factories.
I think these are the guys.
These are the guys. Really sad, really tragic. But our thoughts,
it was a TV3
thoughts and
report.
prayers, yes, our thoughts and prayers continue to be with them. But there's a lot going on behind the scenes, I can confirm, to see how they can be ferried out of harm's way.
Okay. Nana, I remember that day where we had our first discussion on this Russia-Ukraine thing. And to be honest, I remember you described it as a David and Goliath, and you even believing that in a matter of weeks, it was going to be over. But it appears that what we anticipated is not what is happening.
Yes, clearly. And the fact that Ukraine, whilst we are here lamenting about the plight of Ukraine, the fact that they actually have the mindset to be inviting
Foreign
delegations of parliamentarians to come, it shows that maybe the situation is not as bleak as the reports that you get on the international media. Because a country having suffered 2.5 years of war against them by such a nuclear power, which is also a neighbor, you would have thought that they wouldn't even have the peace of mind to be inviting MPs. And it's interesting when Sammy was talking about how they got to Ukraine. But this is a war zone.
Yeah.
You know, and you would have thought that you'd be very careful if you are going to a war zone.
Yeah.
I mean, you said you couldn't fly.
Yeah.
Even then, and you have to go to another country and then drive 11 hours. It's still dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, these are
we were given protective equipment, PPE, bulletproof
against missiles.
And there was one soldier each in a vehicle. So,
sorry, I mean, against missiles, it's a dangerous situation.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know why they still chose to invite civilian politicians to come to the country at this time. But what is going on in Ukraine is clearly a failure of the United Nations Security Council as currently constituted.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this business about Ghana, I don't know where Sammy gets off. That Africa is actually the key to stopping the war.
Sure. I mean, we haven't taken sides. We're not sponsoring.
It's not about you taking sides. You know, Sammy, we are all Africans. We are all Africans. We are Africanists. We are proud of our continent, despite the difficulties and so on. But please, I mean, how can Africa be the key to solve this Ukraine-Russia matter?
We've done
even our own wars in Africa, Sudan. Sudan.
Yeah.
We always wait for some big powers to come and solve our problems.
But in our glorious days, we were able to, when we formed the NAM.
In our NAM, the non-aligned movement.
Yeah.
Well, we're solving war.
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah. In apartheid, the apartheid regime. It was really our effort. You know, the Battle of Quito Carnival.
I thought it's the Cubans who sent some troops to fight us.
But African governments played a
Cuba is not part of NAM.
My colleague in the States I should inform you, I should remind you that President Nkrumah was on his way to Hanoi when the coup happened. So stay at home and before Nana Kumia's client.
Actually, I was coming to that.
That's a good one.
I was coming to that. Because, the Ivorian situation, the Ivorian civil war, because we're the closest neighbors, and I think President Kufuor at that time was the ECOWAS. We made some efforts and so on. They came here, both factions, or the 2 or 3 factions came here and so on. But we don't have a record of solving our own security problems. That's what I'm saying. They're all over. Anytime, look, there are wars going on in what do you call that place? Congo, wars, even in West Africa.
So how about our record in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, in Rwanda? I mean, large African troops. All the others left. The Canadians ran away. The French ran away.
No. As for troops, as for contributing troops.
Our soldiers are celebrated. Peacekeeping operations, we are number one.
But they are always done under the aegis.
Of the UN.
Of the UN.
Yes, but
we ourselves.
But we do the groundwork.
No, please. You are in for it. We are on our own accord. We haven't managed to do anything as ECOWAS or as OA, UN, what is it? How do you call it? African continent?
ECOWAS. You mean
AU?
AU. Whether as ECOWAS or AU.
No, I think you're being too
We said
pessimistic.
we were going to made some noise about intervening in some neighboring countries. Remember?
Niger.
They come here to sleep in our hotels and chop our money and
block roads,
and issue statements in big English and French.
I thought the next day they were going. They couldn't do anything. But
But that one I predicted.
when you're trying to stop something, you still did that. I kept,